No judgment on anyone or a steroid bodybuilder who's taken a bunch of drugs his whole life. I've actually been able to do it without it, and over a significant period of time, and I've had all my success without it.
What's up guys, Derek, moreplates180.com. Today we are going to be talking about the former WWE wrestler Ryback. So this is a guy I actually remember from like school days. You know, some of my friends were into wrestling. They watched this guy and, you know, he had a ridiculous fucking physique that a lot of people would very much look up to. And now he's in the Natty or Juice subreddit, apparently. It says Ryback claims Natty and says his supplement will increase your testosterone. So, you know, I'm like, for the sake of this guy, like, I hope he understands basic, like, how people respond to this kind of shit. So, I'm gonna play it through. We'll see. Look at my analysis after.
Or that NyQuil and Benadryl would cause. So this stuff was created in the battlefield. This isn't, I'm not a fat CEO that had a little bit of money and I'm gonna run a supplement company, get a bunch of steroid people and have these steroid people promote my my shitty supplements that I don't know anything about. Or no judgment on anyone or a steroid bodybuilder who's taken a bunch of drugs his whole life. I've actually been able to do it without it, and over a significant period of time, and I've had all my success without it.
So he makes a pretty bold statement there. He basically says he doesn't use, in the peak of his career when he was the most successful, he was not using steroids, he didn't need it. And I don't know if you can say he was shading people who do use it to achieve their success. In, like, I guess he's probably referring to, you know, wrestlers who were on, you know, more shit than him supposedly. But he's basically claiming that he didn't need anything. And yeah, it sounds like he's claiming Natty there. He goes on to talk about TRT, but I'll get into that after. But the wording of this was like very not carefully chosen. Like he makes it sound like he used absolutely nothing. He didn't need shit. He's natural and everyone else like sucks pretty much.
Steroid bodybuilder who's taken a bunch of drugs his whole life. I've actually been able to do it without it, and over a significant period of time, and I've had all my success without it.
Like, even if he's saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with it, it comes across as kind of condescending, obviously. But the bold claim being made here is, didn't need any steroids, didn't use any in the peak of his career. He's a fucking sick Natty who just like was cranked out of his tree with absolutely nothing except his natural production. So in the next little clip here, he goes on to talk about the TRT though.
300 pounds, put an ab photo up on my Instagram today, and it's the real deal. So I stand behind my products. We've got the Wake Up Unlimited Energy, mango candy, pink lemonade, and green apple. Mindset.
So he's talking about this ab pic that he has on his Instagram. So this is his Instagram, by the way. We'll go back and finish the video in a sec, but where's this ab shot? Okay, so I'm pretty sure he's referring to this. Week 3 of no weights. They say abs are made in the kitchen. I would add along with conditioning, enjoying the rest, and today is 23 weeks vegan. So, you know, he has visible six-pack here. He's pretty lean, and apparently he weighs 300 pounds here whilst not needing any anabolic steroids. So let's keep that in mind.
How do I sit here 300 pounds? I've been honest. I've been on TRT since I was 28 in the mid-normal ranges. I can't control what your mind wants to believe, buddy.
So he goes on to say how he's on TRT, but he has to make sure he adds in there that he's in the mid-normal ranges. He's not high normal. Not only is he not using anabolic steroids, but even on his TRT, it's at a medium level. It's not high normal TRT. So, you know, it's because we all know that being on the high end of the reference range puts you at 300 pounds with abs, of course. So that makes it seem like your hard work is even less makes sense.
And you got to be able to acknowledge everybody has different genetics. I can look at a lot of fitness people out there that have insane big hose veins. I don't have any of that. I never have. I can have my veins pop out if I hold my breath, and there's photos of me in WWE where I'm holding my breath and I have to squeeze with everything I got to get veins to pop out. And when I'm not doing that, I'm very smooth looking.
So this guy's trying to make it sound like he doesn't look like a steroid user. He has, you know, doesn't have garden hose vascularity like those guys on the anabolic steroids. He has to try really hard to make the veins show up. You know, he doesn't have that because he doesn't look like a steroid user. He only looks like this, you know, which is a guy who clearly has to work way harder than you do to look the way he does because he's not using anabolic steroids like all of the the people he's facing. So like, to me, let's find a good clip here. Here's him in the dude, like, look at this fucking trap. Like, the amount of this shitty lighting, you can still see the mountainous trap, ski slope, black diamond coming up this guy's fucking, separating from his deltoid and eating his goddamn head. Like, this is next level shit, and he's trying to explain to us how his physique is natural looking in this fucking Reddit thread.
That should tell you right then and there. But I come from a family and from a working hard at a very young age, working out at 11, 12 years old, where I have a good amount of size to me, and I've always been able to eat. So it's a different look. And if you get it, you get it. You don't. I agree with you. Why would you believe me? 99% of these bullshitters on Instagram are full of shit, and you could see it right away. Sorry, I didn't see that other comment there. But it's not my job. If you don't believe me, you don't believe me.
Okay, so I guess this was Instagram Live or something, and somebody screen recorded it. Comment section: his test boosters are legit. Not only was able to. Okay, I'll skip that one. Huh? How in the fuck can someone of his size and reputation say that with a straight face? Just lost all respect for him. He's doing exactly what he's bitching about, peddling his steroid and HGH-ridden physique to sell useless supplements. What a fucking schmuck. And of course he pulls the genetics card when he's confronted with his BS. His career has turned into supplement selling while claiming natty. He also sells fat burners. It's crazy, and I honestly trust no one anymore. When countless people can seemingly lie straight-faced and act sincere for bullshit, you start not trusting anyone. Just look at Lance Armstrong and all his video of him denying it. Duck eggs, bro, duck eggs. So, it's like one thing to sell, pre-workout, shit like that. I'm all for it. I like pre-workout. A lot of people literally need it to get to the gym. It's what they use for their motivation, and or they like the enhancement it gives them, pump-wise, motivation-wise, energy-wise, whatever it is. But you cannot go out here and make claims about it significantly adding muscle mass. Like, that is obviously the number one no-brainer thing. If it's not going to increase muscle mass, like, don't hype it up that way, and then people will be way more inclined to relate to you and actually trust your shit, rather than saying something like, my physique is based on my necessity for this stuff. Like, he goes on in another thread where he talks about how these supplements were like designed as a necessity to support his athletics. Like, he needed these in order to like achieve what he has, is what he's sort of implying. And obviously people smell the fucking bullshit when you talk like that. Like, this guy's look at this fucking profile picture, dude. Like, picture, what is it? Picture says 1,000 words or whatever. So the thing I wanted to get into, and this is actually another thread. So Ryback from WWE is selling fat burners and testosterone boosters. Is he scamming? And I don't know if he actually said this, but this would be bad if he actually said this. Somebody says, let's see. Well, if someone looks at Ryback and thinks those products are how he ended up looking like a silverback, then it doesn't bother me if they waste their money. He implies that how he got them, he said, these supplements were designed for me out of a necessity a long time ago. Years and years of research went behind these products. Like, this is a classic angle that companies used to take back in the day. Like, how many times did you see like a Muscle Tech ad in a magazine that was like,
look at these researchers like hard at work trying to design cell tech.
It's like some ridiculous shit. You put like Jay Cutler in a fucking lab coat and like have him mixing some beakers to like learn how to put fucking sugar inside creatine. He also says his testosterone booster supplement can replace TRT. So I don't know if he said that. I'm not going to dig too hard to try and find that exact quote. But obviously, if he did indeed say that or implied it in any way whatsoever, like, that's pretty fucked up for sure. Let's see. He says his testosterone supplement works better than TRT. Yeah, so hopefully he did not say that, because if he did, that would be bad. So one thing I did want to bring up is his blood work. So he uses this as proof of, how close to natural he basically is. Latest blood work, just to show, as always, when I say no drugs outside of TRT and using his supplement brand, Okay, so he is outside of TRT and his supplements. Optimal hormone levels are key for health and longevity, as well as regular blood work. I get tested multiple times a year and luckily have a very intelligent doctor who helps me learn along the way. Total testosterone is in the mid-normal range, as well as free testosterone. So as you can see here, his total T is 598 nanograms per deciliter, and his free is 14.7 picograms per milliliter. So this is very, representative of therapeutic replacement. I indeed agree. You don't need drugs to look great and be successful. Kids must understand this, as well as the many young adults whom look at many on social media and think that because they do it, so can they. I hear constantly people use the excuse, well, Arnold used steroids to be successful, and so they think that that's what it takes. Everything Arnold did outside of bodybuilding was because of his mindset and didn't require the use of steroids at all. And if you ever actually look and listen to Arnold, you can see how he is health-oriented first. Don't let some flash in the pans on social media ruin the rest of your life because you think you have to do that to make it. I'm telling you firsthand, you don't and shouldn't. Work hard and don't let the insecurities of others become your insecurities. So he's showing his blood work to basically show how he was able to do all his shit with these test levels, and he was able to have a successful career without having to take a bunch of, crazy steroids, and he just needed this little bit of TRT in order to maintain his 300 pounds with abs with traps that look like fucking Gatling guns. So this thread is a bit more, talks more specifically about the steroid use. He says he had a very negative reaction to testosterone and different steroids where it shut me down tremendously. When I say shut me down, my natural testosterone did not come back, or it was not back to what was perceived to be normal limits, which is not uncommon, but everyone reacts differently. I never abused them as far as when I say abused compared to what other people were doing. So he was always, way more responsible than everyone else, of course. It was always very mild, but everyone reacts differently to them. But for me, my body, it shut me down. So for the 5 years before WWE, I was tired at times, but you just kind of get used to it, I guess. So he's basically implying that before WWE, he used, a bunch of shit, shut himself down, realized he needed TRT, and then by the time he gets to the WWE, he's on, therapeutic replacement therapy. And in the peak of his career, remember, the peak of his career, he didn't need, well, he basically implied he's natural, but, I'm sure he meant he's actually on TRT at the time. So he's basically saying in the peak of his physique, because his physique is actually peaked during the peak of his career, his use was the least it had ever been. He had a 578 nanogram per deciliter total and a 14 free in the peak of his career. And that's all you need. And in fact, you can do it all naturally, guys, because this is just representative of normal levels, actually mid-range, not even high. You could have better levels naturally. In fact, I'm not even on fucking steroids. I'm basically just worse than a normal fucking 19-year-old. That is what I'm telling you right now. So let's go look at his physique over the years and let's see, the peak of his career versus when he's in the midst of, mildly abusing, as he likes to call it. So here we have him at, let's start at 19. So he is in a suit here, obviously, a genetic elite. He looks like a fucking, 30-year-old house already, and he's 19 years old apparently. Here he is, 21 years old, kind of I don't even know what this is. Here's him at 22, and obviously has very extraordinary genetics, but, you would be stupid to think this guy isn't on the Sazul at this point. So this is him, before the WWE, getting into his mild, abuse phase where he uses, whatever shit he deems appropriate as mild. So here he is, 24 years old. We're not that far off from the WWE, and he's probably, dabbling right here. This is probably the mild abuse that he's referring to before he gets super responsible and dials into medium TRT where, the physique explodes, of course, because that makes the most sense. Here he's at 25, starting to bulk up a bit, getting to, this is still 25, almost reminiscent of Batista a bit. 25, looking fucking house as hell. 26, packing on a bit of, you can tell he's obviously unnatural as fuck at this point and is starting to really, sauce to the gills, or as much as he can get away with given whatever the parameters are of the leagues he's in, because we all know there's super strict testing and blah, blah, blah. So here he is, 29, still, this is you're getting pretty close. As far as I recall his career, I'm pretty sure he's almost at the WWE at this point, and this is not his peak physique. This is actually very far off from his peak physique. So it's interesting how he's claiming the abuse phases are when he's actually less impressive than he is with mild TRT. Here's him at 30 and boom, this is full-blown Ryback. Traps are literally going to consume his head any moment and making CM Punk look like a fucking child. Here he is at still 30 years old. And this is getting in, there's that John Cena hanging for dear life off this guy's back. Here he is at 31, trapped, actually shitting on John Cena, who's also a sauce fiend and a half. Here he is about to throw, just fucking tossing dudes like rag dolls, because It's totally possible when you have 500 nanogram per deciliter test levels to just ragdoll guys at 300 shredded. Here he is with Sheamus getting fucking, I don't know, suffocated from behind. But like, we're in the peak of his career here, dude. And like, this is fucking much different than in his late 20s, where he's claiming, oh, you know, the abuse phase, you know, like 5 years before the WWE. When I'm in my peak though, I didn't use shit. In fact, I was barely on TRT. I'm just on mild shit that basically does nothing. And I had a very, very severe necessity for supplementation of fucking D-aspartic acid. I needed that shit to maintain 310 lean, whatever the fuck this is. To hang with John Cena in the ring and actually make John Cena look somewhat small, I had to be on D-aspartic acid because that is the only thing that works, not testosterone. So here he is, 33 years old. Guy is, like, look at this shit, dude. Come on. Like, you're not winning any points by making it sound like something unrealistic as fuck as what he is quoted as saying. So here he is, 35. It almost looks like he's starting to downsize a little bit. And now present, I think this was like the end of his career right here, 35, because now he is 39 or 40, and apparently he's just been like, you know, promoting his supplements, and he hasn't been in the WWE for a handful of years at this point. So like, peak physique, dude, this is supposedly a result of having to coming off of steroids, like not using anything because, you know, he had such a bad response to them. He had to get on mild TRT, like very, very, you know, like barely anything. So anyways, I was expecting going into this, just seeing like, what's this guy selling? Like, what's the, you know, the benefits that he's claiming and whatnot. I was not expecting him to be like a full-blown fucking fake natty, essentially. Like, this is a very, very hard to believe that somebody would think that people aren't going to perceive this as entirely negative and totally transparent to see through, because nobody is dumb enough to believe this shit. Like, you were not at the peak of your career with a 590 nanogram per deciliter total, dude. Like, your physique was absolutely insane, and it only got better when you supposedly stopped abusing the shit. So, like, to me, this is like silly. Like, this is fucking ridiculous, dude. Like, I would I don't know, like, it's trying too hard to make it seem like your shit is like super necessary. Like, we all know at the end of the day, you know, fat burners, yes, the way they can work, suppressing your appetite, one of the main benefits of it. How much more is it going to expend energy-wise? You know, the main thing it helps these kind of things is adhering to your calorie deficit. At the end of the day, it's the calories in, calories out. You're not going to crank your metabolic rate up another 500 calories per day or something insane without having some, you know, deleterious impact to your health. The main thing is enhancing or encouraging dietary adherence. That is the main thing. It's not getting you to fucking 300 shredded. It's helping you maintain a deficit. And with like pre-workouts and shit, test boosters and shit, like, what are you doing? Like, pre-workouts, yeah, it helps you get to the gym. You know, I use a pre-workout very, very often, but I'm never going to claim it's the reason I gained muscle. Like, I guess if you really wanted to fucking stretch it, you could say, I have such bad motivation to go to the gym that I wouldn't even get there if it wasn't for pre-workout. So the pre-workout indirectly helps me gain muscle because I wouldn't have worked out otherwise. But it's like, that's a mental fucking problem. It has nothing to do with the efficacy of the product actually impacting muscle protein synthesis or anything like that. So, you know, it's a bit a very old school approach to promoting products, the way he seems to be going about it. And I don't think it resonates with anybody very well, except his hardcore supporters who just don't give a fuck. So unfortunately, it seems like Ryback is a little bit of a fake natty, you know? So for me, I am... you know, like, I don't really like this kind of shit, to be honest, and I'm not surprised that there are threads coming out kind of shitting on him for it. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think he's telling the truth? You know, obviously I could be wrong. I just, you know, think it's highly unlikely that your physique would peak in the middle. This is actually a very good video, by the way. I don't know, Ryback's first and last matches in the WWE. I was using this as like a timeline to see, you know, when he's in the WWE is when he's, you know, at his peak on just like barely any TRT. I wanted to see what his physique looked like from the start to the end, and it shows like his first match all the way up until his last match, and you can see his physique throughout his, you know, career in his, you know, prime essentially. And, you know, I think it speaks for itself, dude. Like, I don't think a whole lot more needs to be delved into to kind of dissect what exactly is going on here. I think this is just classic misdirection, unfortunately, from a marketing standpoint. Like, this guy is clearly way bigger than he was in his 20s. and supposedly on less shit. So doesn't add up to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates_more_dates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, I design myself from scratch, and anything else I'm associated with. It's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.